What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Tuesday edition of Morning Cup of Hockey presented by Bet365. That's Colby Cohen. I'm Johnny Lazarus, and we got a fun one today. We got Pat Maroon joining the show here shortly, talking about his emotional weekend after announcing his retirement and beginning his farewell tour for the rest of this season. Then we'll have Frank Seravalli join the show. We'll get into the Islanders' Kyle Palmieri goalie interference call last night, which I couldn't have been happier about, but I couldn't disagree more about. So we'll get into that a little bit later. I know a lot of Islander fans probably that are listening right now want us to jump into that right away, but we will not do that. We will save that. Colby, you have something that you want to bring up that we talked about yesterday, so I will kick it right over to you and you can get into that.
So, yeah, before we get into the show, we talked at the end of yesterday's show. Obviously, we had Greg Carvel on, and I said we'd find some sort of bracket challenge to do for Morning Cup of Hockey for the NCAA tournament for those of you who are interested. So we did set up a bracket challenge. It's free for everybody to join. I took care of the entry fee for the league. I know Johnny's not going to reimburse me and split it, but look in the chat. Vic just put the link in the chat. You can't send a hot link in the YouTube chat. So you have just copy and paste the link that Vic just put in the chat into your name bar. You see the league name. You actually don't really need the league name. It'll ask you for the league ID, and then it will ask you for the league password. If you are audio only and you want to play, we'll just read this out here really quickly. The league ID is 38529, and the password is just all caps MCH 2025. And the website that we're using is thesecondseason.com. So if you go to thesecondseason.com and you go to the NCAA bracket challenge for men's ice hockey, all you have to do is put our league ID in, which is 38529, and the password is MCH 2025. And again, free for everybody. Just bragging rights. We've already got 10 people who are doing it. We got Johnny has a bracket, producer Vic has a bracket, Merle's made a bracket, Jeremiah's in there, producer Zach from the sheet, Frank Seravalli has a bracket in there already. So again, sign up, get involved. The games start Thursday. It'll be fun to just kind of see who gets the bragging rights and who's got the best bracket. So again, we said we would do that. We'll do this at the end of the show as well. Like we'll finish the show today with all this information because I know people do come in late some mornings. So Vic, if you wouldn't mind, maybe just one more time, put the link and the league ID and the league password in there. And we'll go from there. And like I said, we'll give it at the end of the show as well.
I'm probably going to change my bracket like another 4 or 5 times. I already changed it twice.
Yeah, that's
one
fine.
day. Yeah,
that's fine. So, all right.
These things are so hard to decide, like with the one and done. It's so tough. Yeah.
You have a bad period at the first game of a one and done. Your goalie, has a bad period, and all of a sudden the team you picked to win it all is out. So, anyways, so we said we would do it. We did it. Bragging rights for the winner. I'm kind of thinking whoever wins, I'll Venmo $100. That's what I'm kind of thinking here. So
what if it's me?
For sure not. Anybody wins but Johnny, I will Venmo you $100 or Zelle you or whatever it is that it is. And if you're in Canada, can you Venmo to Canada?
I don't believe so.
We'll have to figure it out. Okay. Maybe I'll give it to Vic and then Vic can do whatever they do.
How are you going to give it to Vic?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'll wire it to Vic.
Okay. Should I tweet
American dollars?
Should I tweet it out or no?
I don't think I would rather you didn't tweet it out because I just want this to be for Morning Cup of Hockey people. I don't really want to have. I want this for our listeners because I think it's something that will be fun to just kind of bring up after each weekend is done. So that's kind of there you go. Sharma says we could do PayPal. That's like $1,000 Canadian dollars. Yeah. So yeah, get involved. If you want to play, play. If not, no big deal. But I think it would be fun. And like I said, you can see some of the people that are already jumping in. And Vic just let me know, if you go to the show description on YouTube, you can get all the information to jump in and play. So that'll be fun. I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, no, and listen, like this one's, I feel like some people might have the same bracket though. It's not like there's 64 teams to pick from like it is in March Madness. It's
Well,
only
that's why you have to mix it up.
the
You
score.
gotta take a
Yeah,
risk.
yeah.
You gotta pick a big upset. You gotta pick an upset somewhere. You gotta take some risks. So, anyways, look, we spent the whole day yesterday with this college stuff. We'll talk about it more as it moves along. But obviously, we have some stuff to get to today. Should we start with? Should we start? Is Pat? What time?
He's setting up. He's setting up right now. He's
okay.
He's here, but he's not like set up.
All right, so let's do goal. Let's start with the Islanders play. Or are we going to save that for Frank?
I mean, I guess we can talk about it, and then we can.
Yeah, I'm more interested. Listen, I love Frank, but I'm way more interested in Pat's opinion of it than Frank's. Because Pat's a guy who goes around the net, and then you have Frank, who was just at the GM meetings, and they're just talking about video review. So let's start with it, because there's this isn't just any old play. This is the New York Islanders. This is a team that we needed 2 points for last night to continue you on the path to your lower back tattoo.
Okay. So we'll do it. Vic, do you want to put up? Oh, well, Pat is ready. So I'll read Pat in. We'll get into it, and we'll talk about it with Pat, and then we'll bring it back up a little bit with Frank. So before we bring Pat on, just want to give a quick word from our sponsor, Proraso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care, made in Italy since 1948. Proraso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at Proraso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15 in all caps, Hockey15. And with that, let's bring on the man of the weekend. You're wearing the same sweatshirt as last time, dude. Seriously?
Yeah, sorry. I packed up my house, so there's not a lot left.
Pat, I'm gonna pretend like what happened over the weekend didn't happen, and I want to give you the opportunity to announce like breaking news on our show. Okay, so like you should have in the first place. So I'm just gonna give you the floor here. Is there anything you need to tell us that if we live under a rock we could have missed this weekend?
Yeah, retirement. It's coming to an end.
Officially.
Yeah, sorry for not telling you guys.
Colby's pissed at you, like low key.
What?
I just wanted you to announce it on the show.
Yeah, I know. I apologize. I'll let you guys down.
It's not your decision. It's for us.
Yeah, it's not about you, Pat. It's about us. It's about the show.
Oh God, yeah. So yeah. It's. I announced it. I think it's time. It's been a long year for myself, but it's been a couple of years in the making of just thinking about it, sitting at home, and what's next. And I think with the baby coming, it just makes sense. With a newborn coming, I don't know what's in the cards for me. I didn't know, and I just don't feel like moving again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's just like newborns coming in, and it's been tough. So I think it's the right decision, and it's time to start a new chapter. And fuck, open up another door. There's a lot of doors open right now, so it's going to be good when I start to figure out what I really want to do.
Yeah, well, and I'm really happy that you did it with a couple weeks left in the season. As mad as I am at you for not doing it on here, I am happy that you did it with a few weeks left and you didn't wait till the summer. And the reason for that is, as much as you're a guy that sure, other players know they're in for a night when they're going against you, but the respect that you command from other teams' players, other teams' coaches, you're like the guy that everybody wants on their team and everybody hates to play against. And it's been that way for a while. But I'm glad because now the league and other teams and other fan bases, even they can celebrate you for the next couple of weeks, right? If you would have done it in the summer, it would have been social media and everybody would have been reposting things or whatever. But you're going to get to feel the love on the way out the door here. And I know it's not the end for you because there'll be another chapter in some way, shape, or form. But I am happy that you did it with some time left on the season. So whoever convinced you, or whatever you convinced you to do it when you did it, like timing wise, I think that was, I'm glad that you did it that way, if my opinion matters to you at all.
No, it does matter. I think, yeah, I mean, Panger was talking to me a little bit, and he's like, I heard this could maybe be your last year, and we've been going back and forth a little bit, and I think I called Francesca and Goldie were on their way to St. Louis. My dad actually drove up to watch a game, and I wasn't playing. He went to Grandparents' Day, and then they drove back to St. Louis. So I basically just called them and said, I think I'm ready. I won't have any regrets. And Francesca's like, no, I want you to play one more year selfishly. I think you still can play. Just give it over the weekend, see how you feel after the weekend, and then go from there. And I think I wasn't thinking anymore. It's just like, because if I don't do it, it's just, I'm going to go in the free agency. I'm going to go, through the whole process again. And then what happens? I don't get a deal. And then, like you said, Colby, then you sit there and you process everything. You're like, no one really wanted me anyways. Why'd I go through this? And then I don't go through with my decision, and then I'm there handcuffed with no deal, right? And then it makes you wonder what's going on. And I just didn't want to go through it. And I know I was with Shaddy last night. Shaddy came over. He's in town. He has meetings with New Jersey today, and he sent me a long text too. And he said it right. You get to leave on your own terms. Like, he had to go through that whole process of waiting all year. He's 900 and whatever games. He's only like
something games.
He's 52 games away, and he's like, now you get to go through. You went out on your own terms. Like, you don't have to go through what I went through, just to get 1,000. Just to play one more year or 2 more years, and it's kind of a shitty feeling. You know what I mean? Because then you're like, you're not wanted, and then you have to leave, right? The game that you love, and you don't get to kind of leave on your own terms. So I that's why, I kind of wanted to do it. I'm 37 years old, and I get to leave on my own terms. I don't have to go in the free agency of trying to scratch or crawl for a contract.
Yeah, but Pat, you also did play a pretty good past couple games here. What if you go on a heater?
I know. Everyone keeps saying that to me. Everyone keeps saying, say hi, Goldie.
Hey, Goldie.
Everyone keeps saying that to me, so I'm like, no, it's still it. I think,
you're gonna not try now?
What?
You're gonna not try?
No, I'm just gonna have fun out there. I'm gonna have a lot of blasts. I'm gonna, be the same guy I am and play as hard as I can every shift I go over the boards, and you know how that goes, Johnny.
Well,
yeah.
They can't help you scratch you now. They have to put you in the lineup now too. So at least you're playing down the stretch here.
well, maybe because guys are hurt too.
Yeah. But I will say, Pat, something that's kind of funny, I guess, about the three of us being on here, and this is in no way me making any sort of comparison. Colby was actually a big part of the reason why I decided to give it up. Honestly, I had a conversation with Colby my senior year of college, and he was like, if you know what you want to do in your next chapter of life, don't drag out your playing career just to say you played long. And honestly, after I decided that this was going to be it for me after my senior year of college, the rest of the season, I was just anything that would have pissed me off or would have made me be mad that day, at the rink, I was just whatever. I was just so able to enjoy it. And it sounds like right now, I know it's only been a couple days since you really have made this decision, but do you already find yourself just not getting frustrated and not sweating the little things and taking in every little thing that you have here for the next 11 games?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I think I found myself a little just, looking around, smiling, really enjoying it, really taking it all in too, especially warm-ups when, the kids are on the glass. I think it's just you take in the small moments that, that mean a lot to you. And family's important, and they've done a lot for myself, right? So just let me go live out my dream and sacrificing by themselves, grinding with kids. So you kind of take in those moments. You take in the moments of like the TV timeouts. You catch yourself looking around. You may be putting your head down. You know, there's a lot of highs and a lot of lows, a lot of emotions throughout, you know, every game I'm going to play. So, but I'm definitely taking it all in and trying to have as much fun as I can. And then, you know, just take it game by game. And when the last game at home, I'm going to have everyone here in town for that, and we're going to have a good night.
Yeah,
Chat
comments are hilarious.
Just coming for Jonny right now because he said, "I'm not going to compare, but I'm going to compare."
And then Mechanicsville goes, "Colby, why'd you crush his dreams?"
Well, just to give a little bit more context on that, you know, Jonny was asking me like, should I go try to play in the Southern Pro League or this league or that league? And I just said, like, look, as a guy who spent his whole career in the American Hockey League and then, you know, did a couple stops in Europe, you know, with very few, you know, opportunities to getting called up. Like, look, I was 25 years old. I could have kept dragging my feet through the American League. I could have kept doing it, but I just knew that, like, I wasn't going to be a full-time national. I was not going to make my living playing, and why delay it and not put my foot into the real world? And that was the path I took. So it's not like I crushed Jonny's dreams. I think I just was very real. I was just realistic.
Let's make Pat's retirement about us.
I was just realistic I was just being realistic with him. You know, I mean, that's what we do on this show, Jonny. We make everything about us. Okay.
No, where are you going to go play? It's called the Shit Piss Hockey League.
Pat, I signed in Pensacola.
Did you really?
Yeah, I signed a pro contract. I never got to
play. One of my best friends from back home ended up playing for the Havoc. And really? He loved it so much that he married a girl from there and then ended up moving back to Alabama. So
my whole life could have been different. Who knows?
Your whole life could have been different.
But I want to reel it back in because seriously, I don't know how. Like whatever. But I know you've already talked about it, but like the St. Louis treatment, like I want you to know, like when I saw that, there's like obviously it's so special too. But do you understand like how cool it is to play somewhere just for 1 year? And I know it's your hometown, but like I don't know if any other player ever has gotten a reception like that from a team that they played 1 year for. Obviously, you won the cup there, so it's different. But like that to me, I don't know if there's ever been anything like that. And for you to get the first star, that treatment, that send off, like that is probably the most rare thing I think I've ever seen almost in the NHL with a player who, you know, I guess they don't normally announce their retirement while they're playing. But I think this was like one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. And I just kind of want to hear your thoughts like a couple days after, like soaking it all in.
Yeah, it was a special night for us. Obviously, the bench interview with Panger, Panger making it very special, and we got very emotional. I was trying to hold it in because I was trying to process everything a little bit too, and when after warmups, Chris, our PR guy, came up to me, he's like, "Hey, you have an interview with Andy Strickland," and I was like, "Okay, that's fine." Mm-hmm. And then after the first period, he's like, "Hey, they're going to do a tribute for you after the 14-minute mark TV timeout." I was like, "Chris, they don't have to do anything." He's like, "They wanted to do it." And then after the third period, they're like, "Hey, Danny O'Neill that works for the Blues came down. He's like, I want to name you first star." So, and then you're going to do an interview after with Jamie Rivers. And I was like, "Wow, that's really nice." So, it was just a special night for me and my family. I thought it was amazing. Doug Armstrong, Alex Steen, Mike Caruso, and Dan O'Neill. I can't thank them enough for just, giving me that opportunity. And the fans, I can't thank enough of the fans. Jesus, the ovation and everything they did for me. And but it was just really, really, really special. I didn't expect any of it, and it just came out of nowhere. And they called my agent to see if they can do it, like Doug Armstrong did, and Panger and the Blues. So, they really tried to make it really special for my last game in St. Louis, and they did. And I want that any other way. Having the interview with Panger, one of the best in the game, and then being in St. Louis, winning the Stanley Cup there. I only played there for 1 year, but they really did make it special, and it was a lot of emotions. I probably cried on the bench. I cried in the locker room, going back out in the ice in the third. Like, there was so much more going into that, and with them doing all that in between, periods, and then after the game was just remarkable.
Yeah.
Well, I guess after hearing all that, I'm like a little less mad at you for not doing it on our show. All right, I guess that does sound kind of special. So I guess I'll back off my high horse of being angry at you, Pat, for doing it on national TV with 25,000 people screaming your name. And so okay, fine, I'll back off. Let me ask you this, Pat, and it might be too soon, but I'll ask it anyway. Have you thought about what path you think in this game, if you want it to be? Like, does media sound appealing? Does management sound appealing? Do you want to take some time so you can just go be a hockey dad for a little bit? Like, or it's just
you want to join her?
I haven't really thought about it yet, but I do know I'm going to try to do some playoff stuff here after the season here. So I'm going to go try to get on the panel somewhere. I've been in the talks with people, so we'll start with that and then kind of go from there. Take the summer to just kind of enjoy your family, process everything, get our ducks in a row, and just enjoy it. And then I'm sure I'll do stuff throughout the summer, but I think for now I just go do some playoff stuff, talk about the game I love so much. And then, come summertime, then I'll figure out where I want to do. And honestly, it's like we're still going back and forth from Tampa and St. Louis. So we might just live in Tampa for a year or 2 years. And then we're just trying to navigate our way through this new chapter we're going to go. So we're in no rush. I'm in no rush, but I certainly do want to work right away because I want to get either into media right away or into management or, whatever that may be, or coaching. So, but once this is over, see if I love all that TV stuff in the playoffs. And if I do, and I take a liking to it, then media. So, but anything for me that just keeps me happy and keeps me, flowing and talking about the game I love, or teaching kids, teaching young guys, or coaching, or doing anything that makes me, continue to give back to the game as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, if you're in Tampa, are you still going to be a Blues fan? Because you did say that as soon as you take that Blackhawks jersey off, you're a Blues fan now. So you're not going to root for the Lightning if you're living in Tampa?
Yeah, I'm going to be. Well, I got to cheer for both. I've won with both teams. So
yeah.
But again, I've been a St. Louis fan my whole life, so I can't say. I mean, St. Louis would be number one.
Yeah,
because I grew up watching the Blues.
Yeah,
and it was the first Stanley Cup.
Listen,
I know.
There's nothing wrong with living in Florida and being in the sun every day, but you could get ESPN Plus and you can watch the Blues anytime you want from a beautiful home in Florida.
That's true.
I mean, not paying any state tax on whatever income you have. It's very enticing to be down there, Patty. And look, I'm going to be texting you. I'm going to reach out next week because we're going to be in St. Louis for the Frozen Four for like 5 nights, Butchie and I. So we're going to need some good dinner recommendations. I think we're staying at Live, which I think is like right by the arena. If you're familiar with that at all, hopefully it's all right there. But we're going to need some
get the ravioli at his family's restaurant. Isn't that a thing, right, Pat?
Yeah, go to my brother-in-law's restaurant, Bengals. He'll take really good care of you.
That's why I'm going to text you next week about it.
So there's no good dinner spots in the city. You want to go outside the city.
We'll go outside the city then. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, and it's close. It's only be like 12 to 15 minutes straight down the highway.
Okay. All right. We could do that. That's the great invention of Uber. Johnny, I think Goldie's like playing him off here. I don't know if you have anything else you want to touch on with him.
I definitely have one more if I'm allowed to. Pat, just looking at your schedule, you know, there are a couple of games where you're on the road, you know, Montreal, Boston, Ottawa, Pittsburgh. You know, I don't know if these are necessarily like places that you like look forward to one more game in. I'm sure Montreal, like you'll really embrace, but on a funnier note too, is there pressure on the Bruins now for like a tribute video for you?
No, no, the Bruins won't do anything for me. I played freaking 2 games in regular season for them, and in the playoffs. So
They're gonna do something for sure.
Oh yeah, they will.
Yeah.
Well, they'll for sure say welcome back.
Yeah.
But I don't think there'll be like anything else than that. You know.
Those are always so funny. Like,
well, the lead PR guy in Boston was the guy in Chicago for years, so I'm sure they're having conversations about it. I'd bet on it. I mean, I don't know.
I played for Minnesota and they didn't do anything when I came back, and I played my 800 game there.
Damn. So they're dead to us.
What?
They're dead to us.
We'll
yeah,
let
I don't know
G and Chris Kelleher know. Chris Kelleher is always giving Johnny shit about things he says on the show, so we'll be sure to let him know.
Yeah. But yeah, Pat, I guess honestly, like my last thing would be, is there anything that you just want to say, like after this whole weekend and everything you've kind of gone through, you know, with the announcement, and then I'm sure you guys are TNT tomorrow against New Jersey, so I'm sure they'll do some more stuff with you tomorrow night on TV. If there's anything that you want to just say, like,
well, I want to say thank you to my mom and dad, my siblings, and obviously my wife, and my son Anthony and Goldie. I think we forget as athletes how much our wives do take care of us when we're on the road. They kind of, you know, they hold everything down, and I think we don't give them enough credit. So, and putting up with all my bullshit throughout the years. They really do an amazing job. So I want to thank them, my wife Francesca, Goldie, Anthony, and just always being there for me and supporting me and always being a shoulder to lean on. And it's been a special ride with them and an awesome one. I wish Goldie would have been there for one of the Stanley Cups when we did get to put her in it. So that was fun. And Anthony's been there, you know, for everything, and my mom and dad and my brothers and sisters. So it's been a special ride for me these last 14 years in the NHL, and you know, before that in the American League. So I can't thank them enough for everything and being there when I need them, and you know, being there most importantly on the lows, but most importantly on the highs.
We love you, man.
Yeah, I love you too, guys.
Yeah, thanks for doing this, and yeah, we'll keep this rolling through the playoffs too. You're not going anywhere with us. You're stuck with us for the rest of the playoffs too.
Oh, perfect. Now I can say whatever I want.
That I look forward to. I look forward to.
Yeah, 100%.
Then I can say whatever I want.
Yeah.
So, me and
we're
Colby might stir the pot.
Yeah, good. Colby, anything else, or
Patty, we love you, buddy. Enjoy these last couple of weeks. I look forward to seeing, like I said, like Flowers getting flowers everywhere he goes right now. I think you're going to get similar treatment because I think people, especially now that other fan bases know they don't have to deal with you anymore as a player, I think they're all going to put their arms around you and celebrate what you've done for this game and you know what's next to come. So have a good day and good luck. We'll see you next week. I was just going to say good luck the rest of the way, but we'll see you next week.
We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. All right, pal.
All right. See you guys. Thanks.
See you, Pat. I know we didn't get into the goal interference that we said we were going to start off with, but we can't.
I love how you're asking a question. You decide it's funny to you. You laugh at it, and nobody else laughs.
I don't care. I always laugh at my own shit.
Even New York Marine picked right up on it.
Sometimes in a group chat, I'll make a joke in a group chat, and I'll haha my own message.
Yeah. By the way, we're up to I just click the window here. We're up to 25 people that have signed up for our bracket challenge. So
awesome. I just saw Joe Albany said, like, how do I join? Joe, we'll do it again.
Hey Vic, why don't you put the link, the league ID and the league password into the chat again? This way people who are late joiners to the show will be able to have an opportunity to sign up, and it's free. It's fun. It's Morning Cup of Hockey. All of our people, I'm sure we'll get some sheeters. Oh, the link is pinned in the chat. So I'll do the league ID, he says. Okay. So Vic will put that stuff back in here for everybody who wants to continue to sign up. I love seeing people jump right on this. Some names I recognize, some names I don't, which again, you never know, because some people have different names in the chat, right? So you can't identify everyone, but there's definitely some names in there that I recognize, which I think is pretty cool. So should we get back into this goalie interference thing as we wait for Frank?
Yeah, I'm ready for it. Should we show the goal first? Vic, you have the goal ready? So how it was the last like minute of the game, right, when this happened?
It was late.
Yeah, late in the game. Just watch Kyle Palmieri and Elvis Merzlikins here. Islanders would have won this game in regulation if this goal standed. Palmieri gets a deflection on it after making contact with Merzlikins, but this is the better angle right here. And Merzlikins initiates the contact. He's at the top of his crease. He's able to play his position. He is able to reset and make a save, and they still call this goal back. To me, listen, I was probably the fucking happiest person on the planet that this goal did not stand, but I could not believe my eyes when this goal came back. That is the one of the worst interference calls I have ever seen, and strictly because Elvis Merzlikins was the one who initiated the contact. Palmieri goes to the top of the crease, and Merzlikins, look, his feet maybe do touch the blue a little bit, but if the goalie's going to shove Palmieri, he better be able to recover and play his own position. Palmieri doesn't do anything to initiate contact there. Like, I don't get that at all. I don't get it at all.
Ariel, why do I feel like Colby is going to say it was goalie interference? No, honestly, Ariel.
The one before, though.
Hold on. Couple things I do want to just point out, right? The crease is not one-dimensional or two-dimensional. Like, you have to think of the crease that it goes all the way up. The line of the crease goes all the way up. And that's where my question kind of comes in to this. And furthermore, like, I don't think this is goalie interference. This is horrible. I thought the goal earlier in the game, the Anders Lee one, I thought that one was actually questionable because the goalie couldn't get his glove out to position as Anders Lee leg swung out of the paint. So like this one, I was a little more like, whoa, this one could come back, but it didn't. But the goal at the end of the game should have been a goal. Here's my question and what I don't understand, and maybe Frank knows this. And Frank's going to be on with us here in the next minute or two. What I don't understand is that, let's say the goalie's feet are in the crease, right? But his gloves, he's like leaning forward or outside the crease. Do we like section off the body parts, or is because his feet are in the crease, the goalie owns that space? Like,
I think if anything, the feet is like the most definitive one.
Right. But like all I'm saying here is like, are they saying like, oh, his feet were in the crease, but his hands were outside the crease, but it's all part of his body, that part of his body is in the crease? Like, that's what I don't really know. I really don't. To me, this shouldn't be a goal. I mean, it should be a goal because let's just say there was contact in the crease. Like, let's just go with that. But he has time to reset to make the save. So, like, Ariel, I have a problem with this, and I think that this should have been a goal. And here's what the explanation was from the National Hockey League. The call on the ice is upheld. No goal, New York Islanders. That is an important point. The ref said goalie interference right away.
Right away. Yeah.
Not called a goal and then overturned. The video review supported the referee's call on the ice. that New York's Kyle Palmieri impaired Elvis Merzlikins' ability to play his position in the crease prior to the goal. The decision was made in accordance with Rule 69.1, which states in part, goals should be disallowed only if an attacking player, either by his positioning or by contact, impairs the goalkeeper's ability to move freely within his crease or defend his goal.
To me, Merzlikins impaired his own self.
Right. But how would they call this one back and they let the other one stand? The Anders Lee one, or Anders Lee. I know I still call him Anders, and he changed it a few years ago.
I thought it was Anders. Oh.
No, he changed it to Anders. That's like the Brad Marchand where he changes it every few years. But
well, Colby, Frank is here. We should bring Frank in to talk about this too. And Ariel, I know you asked Vic to get the Line A goal up too, and we do have the Line A goal. But before we show the Line A one, Frank, just let's get your. Well, first of all, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you. You look great.
You too. Thank you.
Let's get your opinion just initially on this call. And I know you tweeted an article a little bit earlier about it as well. But did you think this one should have stood or should have been taken off the board?
Okay, so here's what I've arrived at, and this is going to be very unpopular, but I'm going to explain it. It doesn't really matter what I think,
I disagree.
What you think, or what Colby thinks, or what Patrick Waugh thinks, or the players. What matters is the path that the Situation Room in Toronto has gone down in terms of how they're going to call the game. And that is directed exclusively by the NHL's general managers. And so last week in Florida, they took their temperature again and said, are we getting this right? Is our compass heading in the right direction in terms of how we're making these calls?
Mm-hmm.
And as a reminder, 54 of their toughest challenges were played for the GMs. And the GMs agreed with them 52 out of 54 times on a vote. So they believe that they're getting it right in the compass is heading in the correct direction. Now, that said, after the fact, I published a checklist, which you can work through or read through. You can just Google it, daily face-off, goalie interference.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're sitting at home watching a game, you can read through the checklist and you'll know whether or not it's going to be a goal based on what they've outlined. So and I know I sent this to Vic and he's got it queued up. This was number 2 from the story. Was contact deemed to be deliberate or incidental? Most likely, if the contact was deemed to be deliberate, the call on the ice from the referee would be no goal, which again, it was waved off based on his judgment in real time. And once it's no goal, once they make their decision, it's incredibly difficult, and the stats would show it's like 99% to overturn it. And read this quote from Gary Bettman. The presumption is you go with the call on the ice unless you have a sound reason for overturning it. A sound reason meaning you believe it was conclusively wrong, meaning no shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
So that's a long-winded way of explaining that it doesn't matter what I think, and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. The GMs have given the Situation Room direction, and the Situation Room believes they're getting it right.
Mm-hmm.
But
the sooner we can all conform to that, and the sooner we can all wrap our brains around it, instead of saying, well, this is inconsistent and this is bullshit and this is that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
they've got marching orders.
It matters because it gives us something to argue and yell and scream about. Yeah. So in that regard, it matters. Let me ask you this. Did you see the one earlier in the game that
the Patrick Laine one
was challenged? Dean Evison challenged it. No, not the Patrick Laine one. Earlier in this game, there was one where Anders Lee scored in the dying seconds of the second period, a period where the Islanders were outplayed, but they get a big goal. Riley shoots one, and the goalie literally couldn't get his glove in the way because of where Lee was. Here's a question that I have for you, Frank.
Okay, so let's work through the checklist again. So what was the call on the ice?
It was called a goal on the ice, which
okay. And is Merzlikins, let's go then to number 1 on the checklist. Is Merzlikins in the blue paint? Or his skate in the blue paint?
This is my question for you. Okay. So help me understand this. The crease goes all the way up, right? Imaginary line goes all the way to the ceiling, right? It's not just a flat line, right? Like the blue line, right?
I don't know if that's how it works or not, but it matters where your skates are.
Okay, so his skates are half in and half out. So
Right now, they're fully in, both of them.
How do you determine? How do you determine for Merzlikins if the backs of his skates are in, but the fronts of his skates are out? And the same would go for Lee there, who's partially in and partially out. And then furthermore, what I don't know, and maybe this is a question I'd love to get answered. What happens, Frank, if the goalie's feet are in the crease, but his hands are outside the crease because of the way they're leaning, and their hands are what get interfered with outside the crease? How do they judge that?
All good and very technical questions. I think it's on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
And I would say that if the goalie is half in the crease, he's going to be protected as if he's in the crease. That's my personal thought. We didn't actually get into the nitty-gritty details on exactly what that looks like. I mean, we had an hour-long presentation from the Situation Room last week, and we went through some clips. But they made it super clear to us that if the goalie is in his blue paint and his ability to play the position has been impeded, that they're going to protect the goalie almost every time. And that includes a bump to the glove, the head, stick, whatever it might be. The next question would be, if he's out of the crease, then he is fair game.
Okay, so here's what pisses me off. And I want to get back to number 2 on the checklist and the comment from Bettman and what we just went over. Because, again, I watched this play with Kyle Palmieri, and Merzlikins is the one that initiates the contact. He impairs himself from playing his own position. So now if I'm a goalie and I see this goal...
Vic, do we have the video? Can we run it again?
He's also going to, I think, so here's the video again. I think the overhead is a better view at it. But if I'm a goalie now, Frank, and a player is even near me in the blue paint, I'm going to make contact with them.
So you, this is where I think
watch him with the blocker.
I understand, but it's in his blue paint. He's allowed to push him out. Who initially? Okay, let me ask you this: where does the initial contact come from? It comes from Palmieri, not from Merzlikins.
I see,
in my view,
use his blocker and then his glove to push Palmieri, impairing himself.
So Palmieri is not in the crease, and then now his skate enters the crease, and it's Palmieri who touches him, and then Merzlikins shoves him away.
I don't see his skate entering the crease at all. Merzlikins is at the top of the blue paint.
Well, his butt definitely enters the crease. Like, you can't say that no part of him are in
come on. Look, his ass is directly in the crease.
Look at his left foot. His left foot's not even in the blue paint. And his right foot.
Look at his ass. It crosses the line.
But those aren't his
skates. Does make contact with him, and then Merzlikins kind of shoves him out of the way.
I don't know. I think.
Look, I agree that this part of it is very subjective. Yeah. However, let me take you back to number 2, and Vic, pull it up on the screen again. Number 2 is, was the call on the ice no goal? So again, it doesn't matter what you or I think. The referee standing right there believed that was deliberate contact and goalie interference. Once that was signaled no goal, it was almost impossible to turn over. However, had it been a goal and had it been ruled a goal, and then let's say Columbus were to challenge, that would be a different conversation, oddly enough.
So, okay. So there's a good comment, actually. Who said it? Sorry. M.Y. Marine. The blue paint is the goalie space. He can make contact. So in this case,
think about that. The blue paint is the goalie's face.
Goalie's space.
Oh, space. Correct. Yep.
So he can make contact with the player. So let's say if I'm standing in the blue. So here's why I'm pissed. Because if I'm just standing in the blue, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, if I'm a goalie, I can go try to push somebody. And if the puck goes behind me while I'm trying to push the player in the blue, that's going to get called goalie interference. And I can just basically let the puck go by me because I know.
Well, that's okay. So that's further down on the list. Okay. Well, got to keep reading the checklist, because then the next part is they're going to be very cautious. And they mentioned this, and I have it further down in the story about the idea of goalies gaming the system. I forget which goalie it was. I think it might have been Tristan Jarry 2 weeks ago, who had stuck his stick out in between the legs of a player in front and then kind of dropped it. And if I'm getting the goalie wrong, forgive me. But was sort of gaming the system a little bit to note that, hey, if I'm in my blue paint, I'm being really well protected. And then they're going to be very cautious of that moving forward too, of goalies that are going out of their way to initiate, and then a puck goes by them and they're just going to throw their arms up in the air. They want to make sure that the line is really clear. And I understand for most people that it's muddy, but I'm telling you, after going through that presentation, writing the checklist story, and then watching the clips, I feel very confident in being able to predict now to like a 90+% degree certainty what's going to play out. So like watching that Islander game last night, once you saw no goal, like once it was immediately waved off, you can just bank on that never being overturned.
So here's where Patrick Waugh comments come in and say, why even go to Toronto if they're afraid to overturn a call?
Well, it was also in the last 2 minutes of the game, right? So this
is what Patrick Waugh said last night in his press conference. If Toronto is afraid to overturn calls on the ice, we don't need Toronto. And I mean, he's going to get fined for that comment. Probably no.
It's a nonsensical comment, really. I mean, like the
There's a fine
situation
coming for
room
that.
has had complete control over these calls to begin with. However, they know that in situations where referees have a way better view, are very close to it, if it's ruled again, let me go back. If it's ruled a goal, totally different conversation. But once it's no, and the guy standing 3 feet or 5 feet from it is making that call in real time, they're not going to go against him. So this isn't my opinion.
No,
I just want, in case anyone's getting worked up, I just want everyone to know I'm not saying this is how it should be. I'm
worked up, but I'm happy about the call.
Before
this is how it is. That's what's important. Is this is how it is.
Before we move on to some of the other stuff we wanted to get into with you, Frank, the best fix for this is just make the goalies fair game.
No, the best fix for this is get rid of video review.
I think just make the goalies fair game.
I said to you before, I think we've
got
gone
equipment on. Make them part of the game. You can hit the goalie. Why not?
We've gone the wrong direction. We're like breaking these down frame by frame, which has never been how the game's played. And these stupid offside calls with a skate hanging in the air, or did the blade touch the puck or not? That's never how hockey's been officiated ever. So to think that you're going to get it right 100% of the time is crazy.
Yeah. And Ariel just wrote, Vic, you can put Ariel's comment up. What is the point of video review, though? How can we take a split-second decision in real time over video review? We're in the 21st century, for crying out loud. Ariel, I love you and feel your pain. If I were an Islanders fan right now, I'd be livid. But as an Islanders hater and someone who doesn't want to get a tattoo on my lower back, I couldn't be happier. But if you remove the jerseys from this play, I am pissed off because that is ridiculous. And I'll leave it at that. Colby, go.
Okay. All right. Let's move on here. Frank, good information. You obviously were just at the GM meeting, so it's good information to get. And like Frank said, be mad at the GMs, be mad at the rules. Don't be mad at the opinions here.
I don't have any opinion. I'm just reporting what they're doing. And that's what I think matters. Yeah.
So one place that we wanted to go with you, Frank, is kind of revisit the trade deadline, but I think we'll save that as we're moving out of the show here. Before we go there, there's a couple of players that, big name players, we hear Demko, he's comes back and he gets the win. And I'm curious if you have any idea of what the future holds with Thatcher Demko. And, this is a guy who is due a new contract where they just gave Lankinen a 5-year contract. And I do think that that's a situation that's going to become a big storyline here quickly out in Vancouver. So I'm just curious, what are the rumblings around Thatcher Demko?
Honestly, it's an impossible question to answer unless you can tell me what his health status is moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
If Thatcher Demko is 100% healthy, the original knee issue with the popliteus muscle and how bizarre that is behind him. And this latest injury, if it's connected or not, you tell me how healthy he is, and I'll tell you what the status is moving forward. Is he staying at Canuck? Is he getting a big contract elsewhere? Are the Canucks happy to move forward with Kevin Lankinen? Would Thatcher Demko like a change of scenery? I think all really fair questions to ask in a situation that's definitely going to need sorting out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then the other guys I wanted to ask you about in similar fashion out in Canada is Draisaitl and McDavid. You know, I said yesterday on our show that I felt like those are two players that can flip a switch. They're in the 1%. And so why not just hold them out and let them be 100% for opening night of playoffs or whenever that is? Like, why put them back into the lineup if they're 80%? Now, I'm not saying I know they're 80%. I have no idea. I'm just thinking, like, if there's anything going on with those two guys, give them as much rest as they can, because opening night, you can count on the fact they're two players that can say, okay, it's playoffs, I'm ready to go. Like, flip a switch.
Couldn't agree more. They've also played a lot of hockey. I mean, they went to Game 7 of the Cup final, and then Connor McDavid went through 4 nations, so he didn't get a break while Draisaitl did. That would be the only question I'd be asking if I'm Stan Bowman is what percentage health are they? And how long do we need to keep them out to get to as close to 100% as reasonably possible? Whether it's 5 games, 3 weeks, I don't really care about the regular season. I don't even know that the seeding with where they're at right now means that much. Would it be nice to have home ice advantage against the Kings? Sure. Does winning the division get you anything? Right now, it might get you the Minnesota Wild, which I think is a tougher first round matchup than the Kings.
Oh, wow.
Well, okay. So I actually want to make a point there. I went on Empty Netters yesterday, and they brought up this, which I didn't even realize. The Kings are 25-3-4 on home ice this year. Like,
yeah, okay. The
best
Kings
home
are
ice
0-3 against the Edmonton Oilers in the last 3 playoffs. So I don't really like.
That's going to change this year, though.
Yeah,
the Kings are going to take them out in the first round this year.
25-3-4 on home ice. Like, if I'm LA getting home ice against Edmonton, like, I mean, do we take that into account?
One extra game. I mean, you'd have to get to Game 7 for it to matter.
That's true. Is it 25-4-4? Oh, Joe.
The games have gone in the opposite direction the last 3 years. 7-game series, 6-game series, 5-game series, if I'm not mistaken.
25-3-4. I don't know what Joe's saying. Yeah, no, I still, but like, I don't think anyone's talked about how they're probably the best team on home ice in the NHL this year.
I don't think anyone looks at them as a legitimate threat.
I don't think they're a legit contender, but I think the Oilers they're not the same team.
I agree.
8-1-1 in their last 10.
And I have no trust in Stuart Skinner. And I just think this is the year that LA finally gets them. I really do. I'm actually looking forward to that series. And I know most people are annoyed with it, but
I'm not annoyed with it. I think it just, of all the first round potential matchups, it's one of the least sexy, I think. I mean, think about what you could have in the East. If Toronto's able to win the division, you've got Toronto, Ottawa, round 1. That also locks in Florida, Tampa, round 1. Wow. Dallas, Avalanche, round 1. I mean,
but let me ask you a question. Why do you think Toronto's 4-5-1 in their last 10 games? Like, why are we confident that they're going to win the division?
I'm not confident. I just was giving you a
scenario.
Sexy first round matchup scenario. If you're stacking all those series head to head, if that's what it ends up being, Kings Oilers is like the 6th best round 1 matchup.
You think
but
anybody?
I want to go back to the previous comment that I made that seemed to catch you and Johnny by surprise. If I'm the Oilers, I'd rather play the Kings, the devil you know, rather than the Wild, the devil you don't. Do the Wild? I don't like. I'm not expecting them to make any noise.
Yeah,
but they are a tough out. They're heavy. They're big. They're physical. And by the way, like, they're in this spot. They haven't had Kirill Kaprizov for.
But is he going to be good? Is he going to be healthy?
I'm assuming that he is, and I'm assuming that Joel Eriksson-Ek is healthy, and the rest of their lineup, which has been snake bitten by injury this year, is healthy. But I don't want to play the Wild. I think even if you get past them, it's a bruising series that it's going to have a lasting effect
Yeah,
the rest of the way through.
They make you work for it, but I watched a good portion of the game last night against Dallas, and they didn't put enough pressure like offensively on Dallas. Like Dallas possessed the puck more. They spent more time in the offensive zone.
Look at all the pieces they're missing, though.
No, I understand
not even the same
that.
team.
I understand
they're
that.
not the same team without Kaprizov either.
Kaprizov,
but I also think
it's agreed, and they're going to get Zeev Buium, who I think is a guy who can be impactful. Like I think he's that good. I think he could have a Charlie McAvoy, Chris Kreider, type of like welcome in. Here's playoff hockey and be good. I believe that. So I just think that I just don't.
Who has a bigger impact? Zeev Buium or Ryan Leonard? What'd you say?
Who has a bigger impact, Zeev Buium or Ryan Leonard? I think Ryan Leonard. Yeah, I think Ryan Leonard is the most NHL ready player in college hockey. I think the second and third, which are pretty neck and neck, are Alex Bump and Zeev Buium. Like I think Alex Bump can walk into the NHL and actually do something. That guy plays mature, heavy hockey. He's got a great shot. He scores goals from the areas that you have to be willing to go to. Like that's a sneaky pick for the Flyers that I think is going to end up being, I think he's a 5th or 6th round pick by the Flyers. You've got that Western Michigan Keith Jones connection. I think Alex Bump is going to surprise people the way he comes into the National Hockey League. I really do. But I think Ryan Leonard, Frank, and I said this on the selection show, to me, he's the best player in the world, not in the NHL, Ryan Leonard.
I also want to go back to the Kings thing quick because I was at their game against the Bruins the other night, and I'm going tonight against the Rangers. But like, I think they're a sneaky, pretty heavy physical team. Like they beat the shit out of the Bruins the other night. I mean, I know Boston right now is not necessarily one of the better teams in the NHL, but like they've added Tanner Jeannot to their roster. Warren Fogel's had a great year. Edmondson in the back end. Like they do have a little bit of snarl in their bottom 6 now. And maybe that's been a difference from the last couple of years against the Oilers.
Maybe
Quinton Byfield right now is one of the hottest players in the NHL.
I agree, and I think Kopitar's had one of the best seasons that no one talks about.
Yeah, and Kempe is nasty.
Yep. Look, I wonder what happens though with the Kings if they don't win.
What are their contracts looking like? Let me look at it.
I mean, look, this is year 8 of Rob Blake as general manager, and he has as many playoff round wins as GM as you and I do.
Yeah.
Which is 0.
They have Mikey Anderson locked up on the blue line. Doughty has 2 more years.
By the way, you bag of hammers, I joined your college hockey bracket, and I didn't hear anything.
Well, I said it on I listed all.
Can you see my bracket? Are you going to shit talk me?
I listed the celebrities that have already joined off the top of the show, and I listed you, Frank. Don't worry, I listed.
And you can't view someone else's bracket till the tournament actually starts. Otherwise,
can you guys roast my bracket now? What's the site? I'll call it up and I'll tell you who I picked.
We've got 41 Morning Cup of Hockey deep entries already, and I think that number's just going to keep going up. So
let's go.
What's the
website again?
It's the Second Season is the website, Frank. I can actually text you the link if that's easier. I have it handy, but
I probably want everyone to know that he fronted the $20.
I mean,
well, we didn't think you paid for it, Johnny. So
yeah, right.
Frank, you named it
Johnny. You would pay if you had $20.
I would. I don't have $20. What's Swervin' Serves?
I don't know. I just entered my name first, and then I realized that everyone picked a funny name, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll.
I liked Butchergross, Jack Parker's boat.
What does that mean? I saw that, but what does it mean?
Just, Jack Parker loves to go sailing, and he's always out on his boats, and that guy lives the best life there is. No, I love.
I think
it.
In the final, I had Michigan State against BC.
I mean, look, it could very well happen, but
yeah.
I had Penn State in the Frozen Four, though.
So
I do too.
I do too.
And I picked them on the selection show. I was just having this conversation with Grinelli the other day. It's like, we grew up, Frank, in this Philadelphia area, right? We didn't have any connection to college hockey in this area. Like when I went up to visit BU,
you could see Princeton, and that's it. Like that's the only thing you could see.
That was the first time I even heard about the Bean Pot, where like, I want kids in our area to grow up wanting to go play at Penn State. We had Logan Cooley and LJ Mooney, 2 kids in the last like 5 years. Obviously, you all know who Logan Cooley is. You're probably less familiar with LJ Mooney. He's a kid at the U.S. national team who committed to Minnesota. Why are kids from Pittsburgh or Philadelphia not going to Penn State? If you're
I
really
wanted to go
good
there. I was
in
Long
this
Island.
area, that's where you need to go. And that's why, like, I want Penn State to have a run to the Frozen Four. I want to see them do it because I want it to be a thing in our area.
You're preaching to the converted, man. I'm a Penn State alum. My brother and sister are both Penn State alums. I'm going to the Friday's action in Allentown to see the both games.
8:30 p.m. That's a late one. Are you going to take Christian?
I am. Yeah, I'm going to take my son. Actually going to go with my brother as well. And
wow, look at that.
So it's late, but you get 2 games for $100. Like,
yeah,
honestly, it's a bargain.
Great game too. That's a great bracket.
It's a
great venue too. I don't know if you've been there, but that Allentown rink is actually really nice.
Yeah, that bracket will be the best crowd with Penn State and Maine in that game. Like, those fans travel
Quinnipiac, UConn, 2 Connecticut teams going head to head. It's going to be really good.
Exactly. So I think that game, the Connecticut game, the UConn Quinnipiac game will be a little bit of a defensive struggle. I think that game. But man, Penn State likes to blow it open. They want to play offense. They want to go. Maine is as solid as anybody. You guys will have fun. You guys will have fun.
What are you laughing at?
We got some shit talk in the chat. Joe Albanese, because Jeremiah was like, because I guess Joe asked how to join the bracket, and Jeremiah was like, all you have to do is read and follow directions, Joe, which you can't do. So Joe just wrote, bracket done. F you, Jeremiah.
Yeah, I see Joe in here. He hasn't.
I went to log in to look at mine, and I forget my password already. So
all right,
good job, Frank.
I just kept my tab up.
We're up to 45. I love it. I love how people want to do this with us. This is cool to see. And Frank, I said the winner, I'm going to send $100 to the winner. So it's free to enter with $100 upside. Exactly. If anybody wins other than Johnny, I will send $100. So,
but we know my betting history and I probably won't win. Even though this isn't really a bet, but I do want to get into our Outwest segment
let's
today.
Start Outwest with Frank, and then let's let him go.
We're going to do it with you, and it's actually going to be the Outwest worst trade from the deadline. So we'll give the chat a second to think about it, and we'll give Frank you a second to think about it. Chat, do your thing, write whichever player you think is the worst trade so far. And this is from our friends over at Outwest, which Colby is rocking today. I think we got some new quarter zips too coming our way. I'll get mine. Are you wearing yours right now?
No, but you got my address. Yeah, send it over.
I'll tell Wes.
You got to make sure they have the old Double XL.
Okay.
It's a
guys and
fabric,
girls,
Frank.
Spring is coming, and it's basically here. And that means cool mornings and crisp evenings, the perfect time for the Sakara Performance Hoodie from Outwest, designed for your comfort, durability, and performance. This isn't just any hoodie. It's built to move with you, whether you're hitting the trail, setting up camp, or just kicking back in style. Lightweight yet warm, breathable yet cozy, the Sakara Performance Hoodie is your go-to for spring adventures. Don't get caught in the cold. Grab yours today at outwest.us. Save 15% off your first order with our code Cuppa, C-U-P-P-A, in all caps. Outwest, every game needs an outlaw. And Frank, do you have one trade that stands out as the worst trade from the deadline so far?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go against the grain here because he's played pretty well in Colorado and has been a good fit. But I'm gonna say long-term, Cal Ritchie and a first-round pick for a rental and Brock Nelson has a chance to be this decade's version of Philip Forsberg for Martin Erat.
Ooh. Wow.
I just think Cal Ritchie's that good. Like, I'm that confident that Cal Ritchie is that good. You said Ryan Leonard is the best player playing right now that's not in the NHL. I think Cal Ritchie gives him a run for the money.
Yeah. And I will give you, and I've heard you say that before. Like, you have been on Cal Ritchie for a while. So I will.
He's the smartest hockey player not playing in the NHL. Yeah. I know that for sure. I think he could be the next Patrice Bergeron.
You have been on this guy for a while. I know you like him, and you have stayed consistent with that. So that
20 other teams really like him. Like they're going, I can't believe Colorado traded him. They're mad. They're like, I wish we could have gotten in the mix to get Cal Ritchie separately from Colorado if they were actually going to move him. And it kind of goes back to, we'll make this full circle with the Islanders. Lou Lamoriello had told teams that were calling about Brock Nelson, like he never really even engaged because he said, I've got a great offer on the table that you're not going to beat. And he wasn't kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
And do you think Cal Ritchie is an Islander on opening night next year?
Yes.
Because he played what, 7 games already this year, I think, and then got sent back down to junior.
I think Cal Ritchie
Get
is
8 games
as soon as his junior season is over is going to be, if there's enough time left.
Yeah, that'd be great to get some games at the end of this year.
And that's the exciting time for some of these teams that aren't in the mix. Like look at Chicago, or look at a few other teams that are going to get players right in the here and now once college hockey ends. That gives you a little shot in the arm.
But listen, I said that about Minnesota, and Minnesota fans were crying in my mentions after the and they are always crying in my mentions. That is the whiniest fan base in college hockey.
But they deserve to be. They don't win shit.
I
college,
said when you're sitting around for 20 days between games and you have a bunch of teenagers, whether and Snuggerud's probably 20 at this point, but whether it's Snuggerud, Rinzel, Moore, there's other high-end draft picks on that team. When you're sitting around for 20 days knowing the day you lose, you're going to the NHL, or if you win it all. And I said that on the show, whether they play the last day or they lose the first day, it weighs on you when you're that age, and it's hard not to think about. And I think that's one of the reasons I think
hard not to think about as a college kid. I know these guys are getting some NIL money.
Yeah, but it's totally different.
I know the day you literally sign a piece of paper, they're handing you a check for $100,000. Like,
yeah, and then you start making $8,000 a day. And
then you step right into the NHL. I mean,
yeah, that's why I think Minnesota is on upset alert with UMass in game 1. Like, I think that could be a big upset. I'm I've put that on my bracket. I said that on ESPN on Sunday, and I'll stay with it. I don't trust that Gopher team with 20 days off and all those superstar players, because those kids are superstars. Like they've got superstars on that team. Those superstars are in the NHL within 24 hours of them losing. Right.
Yep.
So
suck it, Big Willie.
Yeah, did you see that? Did you see that guy yesterday that tried to bet me on Rinzel?
I did.
No,
I did see that. That's a bad bet for that guy. That's the easiest money.
Well, what a strapper that guy was. He says to me, I said, Sam Rinzel will be playing in the NHL this season. And he goes, yeah, this guy, Frank, is delusional. So I just respond back, would you like to place a wager, sir? And he responds back and says, sure, $1,000. And I said, yeah, $1,000 US, because that's the only currency that matters. And like, it's for charity. I don't need $1,000 in my pocket, but let's do it for good. Let's make something good out of this. And he said, sure, I'll donate $1,000 to charity if Rinzel plays in the NHL. And he said, but what about me? And I said, he goes, I want 1,000 cash for myself. And I said, well, he goes, when I'm right. And he said, no, dude, it's for charity. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And then being the weenie that this guy is, whoever it is, just absolutely welched on the bet.
Yeah, well, because
L7 weenie.
We all know Rinzel and Moore, and there's other players on other teams that are going right into the NHL the day their seasons are over. It's coming. So that was a bad bet for that guy. But
also, G did a great job with his Chicklets U at Minnesota. If you guys caught it yet, it was a great video. Probably one of my favorites, honestly. Mariucci is unlike any other college rink, I think. And
I mean, I'm still preferential to Ralph Engelstad.
I've never been.
I'm not. What is it about Mariucci that you think is so great? Just curious.
I think the facilities, like the training facility, the pools, the everything that's available to them in the rink, like the sauna, like they have all this different.
Yeah, I mean, North Dakota.
I've just never been there.
That place, North Dakota,
is all that.
It's NHL caliber in North Dakota. Like there's guys that leave there that step into NHL facilities and are like, yeah, this is not as nice as I had.
Do
you want a funny Johnny story? Actually,
Frank, let me ask you this now that we're talking about North Dakota.
Who's going to get the North Dakota job, by the way?
Like Dave Haxtell's name seems to be the name. What do you think about that?
No, I think he's going back to the NHL.
You don't think he wants to go back to college?
I don't know that for certain, but I have a sense that he's going back to the NHL.
Okay. That'd be a great get for North Dakota. I mean, I think Why you've had 2 head coaching jobs in the NHL. Like, go back and take your lifetime appointment, make a ton of money, and get North Dakota back to the Frozen Four.
I actually feel really bad for Brad Berry. Like, he gets them over the hump. They win in 2016 for the first time in 16 years after however many Frozen Four appearances. And he's out now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
a lot of people are just pointing on the fact that like they've been out of the tournament too much. And I think they had a lot of locker room issues this year. I think, Frank, 2 of their top players are going to the portal. And this was before Berry announcement happened. Like,
look, you know more than I do.
Yeah.
He's an A+ human being. I've spent some time there.
I agree.
And
I like the guy a lot.
The
former players were. I mean, I saw Gage Osmus, former captain there. I saw Jordan Schmaltz. Like, guys are up in arms about it. They're not happy about the Brad Berry thing. So
what a program, though. That's like
it's a blue blood.
I'm totally
it's an amazing
impartial
program
to what they do there.
It's a blue blood and
until you go there and experience it, like I don't know if you get how big of a deal it is.
Well, and they're easy to work with. Like, it's funny. Like, I get kind of down on Minnesota sometimes. Like, the Gophers, they're hard to work with. Like, as a broadcast team, they're difficult to work with. And it's like, guys, you're on national TV 5 times a year. Don't be difficult. If you don't want to give us information to work with, then we talk more about the other teams that do. Right.
Yeah. And look, North Dakota, I did a story because I was still covering the Flyers when Dave Haxtell was hired. And it was kind of an unconventional hiring at the time. Maybe the first guy in 30 years to go from NCAA to NHL without any NHL head coaching experience or any NHL experience, period. And I flew to Grand Forks. They opened the doors wide. However much time you need, we'll give you a tour of the facility. Mm-hmm. Would you like an hour with Dane Jackson and Brad Berry and all the people that worked for him? And I mean, I just couldn't have been more impressed with everything about what they do there.
Yeah.
Good. All right, Frank. Well, thanks for filling out a bracket. We're gonna let you go here because we got to wrap our show here. Alex is texting me and I'm getting yelled at right now. We gotta wrap the show here in the next minute.
See you guys.
All right, Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
All right.
That was great. We got to do our Bet 365, which lost last night, unfortunately. But tonight's one is going to be a fun prop, and I saw some people actually saying it already in the chat. Excuse me. So tonight or older, please play responsibly, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connexontario.ca. And tonight's bet of the night: the Ottawa Senators are in Buffalo. And how could we not take Dylan Cousins' anytime goal at plus 260 to break the hearts of Buffalo Sabres fans? I saw a lot of people saying that in the chat today, and that's going to be a fun one to ride tonight. Ottawa obviously needs the win as well to keep on securing their spot in the playoff spot that they're already in. They're actually still chasing in the Atlantic Division, but they're probably going to end up in that first wild card spot, it seems like right now. But that is the bet of the night tonight. Dylan Cousins' anytime goal.
Got it. Okay, so good show today. I'm glad we got
only one more show this week. Tomorrow,
we got to air some stuff out with Pat, one more show this week, and it is a short week for us. So hang with us tomorrow. Make sure you give this episode a like. Vic, do us a favor. Put all the information one more time for everybody in the chat that wants to join the league. We can also we'll promote the league tomorrow. We're up to 51 entries, which is cool. We will promote this again tomorrow for people that miss it today. And other than that, again, give us a like on the way out. Make sure you're subscribing. We're just about to 26,000 subscribers. I don't know if we actually hit the mark yet, but I know we're right there. So make sure you do all that. And we'll try to get you guys someone interesting to hear from tomorrow. So it's not just us, or maybe Johnny and I will just argue for an hour tomorrow. Maybe we're kind of, it's been a while since we argued for 40 minutes. So,
well, I'll be at the Ranger Kings game tonight, so it'll be tough to watch any other games tonight. So that'll be,
we have a Titans game tonight. We have a junior game tonight, a little Tuesday night matinee. We got 4 games left after this. So,
matinees are during the day, right? By the way,
that's all the time we have today. We appreciate everybody rolling with us. Love seeing everybody sign up. Super cool. Other than that, you guys know the drill. Same time tomorrow, 9 a.m. See you then.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Seravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.